I would like to start off by apologizing. There was a lot of sarcasm, but I want to apologize to one Jerry Jones. He was talking about a substantial trade being done this offseason. I thought he was just full of crap, and he was, having a couple of iced teas, maybe with a little bit of booze mixed in, and he just threw out a bunch of stuff to try and please Cowboy fans who are not happy about the current state of the team. And then all of a sudden, this went down.
Breaking news from Fox Sports.
According to Adam Schefter of ESPN, the Dallas Cowboys and Pittsburgh Steelers are working to finalize a trade that will send wide receiver George Pickens to the Cowboys in exchange for draft pick compensation. The trade is expected to be finalized today. It's the second time in 6 months the Cowboys have traded for a wide receiver. In November, the Cowboys acquired wide receiver Jonathan Mingo and a 2025 seventh-round pick from the Panthers in exchange for a 2025 fourth-round pick. Now the Cowboys are dealing for another receiver, George Pickens. Schefter went on to say, soon-to-be Cowboys wide receiver George Pickens is headed into the last year of his contract and will want a new deal. His agent happens to be David Mulugheta, whose name Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said he did not know while talking about a new deal for Micah Parsons. So here we go. That's the substantial trade Jerry Jones was talking about. And apparently it'll be George Pickens later today to the Dallas Cowboys. So
I want me some glory hole.
thank you, Jerry.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Thank you, Jerry.
All right.
Hey.
Easy there, Jerry. Don't get too excited now.
Sheesh.
This makes a lot of sense. You mentioned that they did this last year in trading for Mingo. I don't know that they got what they were hoping for out of Jonathan Mingo. But you add Pickens alongside CeeDee Lamb, and that's quite the tandem. So I think they've got what they're looking for. Look, they didn't spend a draft pick on a wide receiver in this year's draft, and that maybe led to some signs that there was something in the works or that they were going to address it in some capacity. We knew this was a potential issue, not just because of how last season ended for Pittsburgh, but also when you bring in DK Metcalf. There's probably a thought that, George Pickens can't be excited about having to share the ball or maybe being the number 2 receiver to DK Metcalf and some of their other options there in Pittsburgh with that trade. So it makes a lot of sense from, trying to get an extension, how things have maybe gone there in Pittsburgh so far, but also the need of the Dallas Cowboys. So look at Jerry, man, a man of his word. Yep. We got to trust him with it.
It certainly will be must-see TV. Because CeeDee Lamb does not like when he does not get the ball. And by what we've seen out of how George Pickens handles things, I guess it's going to come down to how they situate the lockers. Make sure you put CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens strategically right next to one another in the locker room so that they can talk and have kumbaya moments and stuff like that and be okay going on to the field. But like I said, I never met a receiver that wasn't always open, and I never met a receiver that got enough balls. Pause. And you listening to the soundbite that we heard from Malik Neighbors the other day, and listening to him talk about, you got 3 receivers, you got a tight end, you may release a back. You're talking about 5 options of throwing the ball to. Will there be enough balls for CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens to catch in Dallas? And how does that work? I think that's going to be, when this happens, that's going to be one of the singular biggest things that Brian Schottenheimer and co. will have to manage as it applies to what you're doing with this group. And as far as I'm concerned with the Steelers, you are getting out of a situation where, maybe he's made it clear, Pickens and his representation have already made it clear that they're not playing without a new contract, and the Steelers don't want to do it. So this is something that they're doing out of a necessity. But is this Steelers team putting themselves in position to win this year? If I'm looking at this current Steelers team, where they are at right now, that would have to be an emphatic no. They're not. So is this a rebuild year? Like in the truest sense of rebuild? Because I don't know how they're going to compete in such a competitive division with what their roster looks like today.
Does that change if Aaron Rodgers signs there?
Well, who is he throwing it to?
Well, you still have DK. Calvin Austin,
they did
I thought,
bring in
stepped
DK Metcalf.
Calvin Austin stepped up as a gadget. You know, they drafted Roman Wilson last year, who had a fine rookie season. And then don't forget, they signed Robert Woods. And he's still, to me, got a lot left in the tank.
I mean, do you feel confident in those names? I mean, I
if
feel
you add Freiermuth to that, you look at their backfield, their run game, yeah. And they've got don't forget, they've got Cordero Patterson as a returner / kind of a slash player for them too in this offense. I think they have enough if that's who your quarterback is.
If you get Aaron Rodgers, that might be talking me slightly off the ledge, but just because it is Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to stay with my feet on the ledge because I don't know what type of player I'm going to get or what's going to happen with him being the quarterback.
If they were really planning on rebuilding there, they wouldn't have traded for DK Metcalf, and they wouldn't have even had this conversation or waiting game with Rodgers. They'd just say, all right, let's tear it down to the studs and let's go. But I think they do believe Rodgers is going to be there, and if he's there, yeah, they got a shot.
Well, what if he's not good? What if he's not up to the standard of what you need your quarterback to be at this point in his career? It's very possible that he doesn't live up to the standard and the expectation. So if he doesn't, does it just mean, that's it? Who's up next? Who's behind him? Who's backing him up?
The goal shouldn't be, is he good enough to win you a Super Bowl? The goal should be, is he good enough to keep Mike Tomlin's winning season record intact?
See, you're okay.
Listen, I'm half kidding.
No, you're not half kidding.
Because I do believe that's a major story here.
You're being a smart ass is what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
Like that, they really do hold on to that. That's like precious gold. Mike Tomlin's consecutive.
Just like the Ravens' like preseason record. Like that's like always of note. I mean, I don't think it's about him getting a winning record. It is 100% about them winning the AFC North and being a favorite as they approach the playoffs.
Well, that's not
being a contender.
I mean, they're not going to win the division, but they could be a playoff team.
Well, that's the expectation. And if that's not what's being sold and if that's not what they're seeking to achieve, then that's going to put a lot of pressure on corporate, to make decisions. They're going to have to decide what they're going to do because I don't think winning seasons is crazy to think that, but because it does make sense in the old NFL, especially, it makes sense. I mean, not too long ago. I mean, you look at what Marvin Lewis was able to do. Hell, Jason Garrett was there for a while. You can look at numerous coaches that have had a long leash in terms of what they're able to do just because the team is winning. And they don't get rid of coaches, but I don't know that that's going to continue to last in Pittsburgh. I don't know if that's the catalyst or that's the deciding factor. If you just have a winning record this year.
I got a bad feeling about this George Pickens and Dallas matchup.
That's I think is the underrated conversation is. Yes. I mean, he's going to go wild in Dallas.
I mean, he was already not happy, in Pittsburgh. They had to talk to him multiple times over. Now he's going to be in Dallas with no extension in place. He's going to have to deal with CeeDee Lamb being the top target. Jake Ferguson's there. He gets a bunch of balls thrown his way. So you've got that in Dallas. No contract extension, and an agent who the owner has already said, I don't know who that guy is. This thing could go sideways.
It could go bad. That really could go bad.
With a first-time head coach who just moved chairs in the locker room because he thought that would ignite some fire under some people. this thing could be a disaster.
Which, by
I
the
wonder
way,
where George Pickens' locker is going to be.
which, by the way, people are getting upset about me saying that that's wild to stand on that hill and die on. Like,
I'm with them.
that's crazy.
Here's the thing: it's hard to, and I get it because it does sound goofy, but I have your back. I mean, we talked about this.
You did. I mean, they don't understand it. I don't think. Like, there's a sentimental, especially like again. I use Darryl Green as an example. Darryl Green was probably on year like 16 or something like that when I got there, 17, 18, something like that. This man had his locker, the same locker, for probably 14 or so years of that time. And to shake it up, you're going to move that man's locker without having the conversation. I'm not saying don't shake things up or move things around or whatever, but you need to understand that, and he does. Schottenheimer, 100%. He's been around it too long. You got to talk to your vets on stuff like that. When there's things where there's routine created, like, don't compare this to your office building. Don't compare it to your profession. Don't compare it because it's not comparable, and I'm sorry, it's not. But when you have created a habit and this is your place and you've earned the right to be a veteran where you've been in that organization for so long where you've established – like imagine if you came in there. Maybe this one works better instead of Darryl Green. Maybe people don't relate to it. Imagine if you came in and told Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or Patrick Mahomes – that they got to use a different locker. Like, some of these guys had, like, didn't Tom Brady have 2 lockers? One with his stuff and one for stuff that he signed? Like, some of these dudes had more than 1 locker. Like, like to act like there's some type of, like, oh, just shut up and play football. Like, that's not how it works. Oh, yes, it is. Nothing else has worked in Dallas. Well, you know what? That's certainly probably going to add to the list of things that didn't work.
Yeah, but you can't, like, these are, like, I'm telling you, some of these fans.
There you go. The fans.
They've got Stockholm Syndrome. They'll just buy whatever the organization sells them because they have no choice. Like, oh, yeah, no, this is a great idea. They can't just be critical that, it doesn't really make sense.
That's how desperate the Cowboys fans are.
Yeah,
let's be real.
You chose to come for me over lockers being shifted and changed. Screw you.
Damn.
Yeah. Take that.
By the way, Jordan Schultz, who is up and awake, and he is tweeting about the deal, he did say that it is a 3rd-round pick back to the Steelers and day 3 pick swap for the Cowboys in exchange for George Pickens.
They do not think very highly of him.
No, that's kind of the going rate, though.
Is that the going rate?
Yeah, you look at some of the veteran receivers who want a new deal, they go for about a 3rd and something, like a 3rd and a 5th. Didn't was it AB? Remember they sent AB to the Raiders? Wasn't that for a 3rd and a 5th?
Yeah, I think so.
Was it really?
Good.
Yeah,
good
there's been a number of receivers it's been somewhere in that.
I stand to be
category.
corrected. Dang.
Yeah.
AB was at the height of his career when he left Pittsburgh.
Right. Now, there was baggage there, which I think we were all
was
unaware
baggage.
of.
Yeah. But
maybe
the playing aspect of it, though, he was up
True.
there.
Yeah, but who knew what his
one of the things,
into?
though, on the outside, I think we don't value 3rd-round picks as much as teams do. I mean, that's one of the reasons why there's compensatory picks. And when teams get those 3rd-round compensatory picks, it's huge. But you're talking about getting a top 100 player. I mean, when we say that's the reality.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about getting a top 100 prospect in the NFL draft, the best out of college, that you're going to get for much cheaper. And so if a team is willing to say to you, all right, here's what we're willing to do with our organization. We are willing to give a guy away who we feel like might be, he's a 1,000-yard receiver, really good player, but we don't feel like he's going to be worth the money and the headache that comes along with him. We'd rather take another player at that 3rd-round spot who's going to be cheaper, and we feel like we'll be able to produce just as much, or we can find a starter at that position, just as easily as we can pay George Pickens and then deal with all that. So,
well,
I get it.
Guess it was fun while it lasted, buddy. Good luck to you. So long.
Yeah, well, listen, George Pickens is in Dallas. The Steelers got some draft capital, and now they just wait on Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully that'll get done soon. But again, apologies to Jerry Jones. He said it.
He did say it.
And they made a move. And now we just wait for the fireworks.